Hello and welcome. Mahindra Satyam has been in the news for a variety of reasons, including announcing some very stretched targets for growth and expansion, and also some legal ones. But we're not really talking about the legal ones with the CEO of the company, CP Gurnani here. Thank you very much for joining us here, Mr. Gurnani. So I'm not going to dwell too much on the corporate side, but just a quick bit of background for those who are watching. You know, there were two companies once upon a time. There was Satyam Computers and there was Tech Mahindra. Where does that story stand today?
Govind, as you know, Tech Mahindra acquired Satyam Computer Services. So from that part of the storyboard, yes, we are two legal entities, but we are owned by Tech Mahindra. The majority shareholder is Tech Mahindra. That's number one. And number two, there is a formal process which is on, and almost every approval, which includes regulator, the board of directors of both the companies, the shareholders of both the companies, an approval from Bombay High Court has already been done. Only one approval is pending, which is from the Chief Justice of Andhra Pradesh High Court. We're expecting that approval to come in the next few weeks, and then we will not have two entities, and we'll have one entity.
And you're already working as one entity?
Virtually, we are working as one entity, though however there are areas where we cannot work as a legally one entity, which includes finance, HR, and many of the other areas where, you know, we need to have two separate identities and the way of working, because the shareholders of both the companies are not exactly identical.
Right. So you've announced a fairly interesting stretch target in terms of sales. Now, the question is, what does that $5 billion target mean in the way that you will be growing, and to your outlook of where you see the growth coming from?
I mean, you've heard Mittal announce that the industry will grow at 12 to 13% or 13 to 14%. You guys can do your maths. I mean, my last quarterly earnings had pretty much a run rate of almost $700 million. So which effectively means is that we are almost a $2.7, $2.8 billion company. And if by 2015 end I have to reach 5 billion, it is very clear is that it's not going to happen only by organic. Right. So there is inorganic, and I've stated it openly in the past that inorganic growth is our strength. We are one of the few companies in the world which has taken over a distressed asset, a broken asset, and turned it around. Number third is that we as an organization are looking at M&A not only from a growth point of view, but more important is from a strategic point of view, from a viewpoint that we are able to create not only new service offerings, but also the new markets. So if you look at my new service offerings, I mean, you saw our foray into products when we went into DN Technologies in the financial services sector, when we entered into an arrangement with Comviva, clearly a foray into products. And similarly, when you saw my recent acquisition in Brazil, it is very, very evident that we are following a strategy of new markets and new service offerings.
So what does this mean? I mean, let me put the question a little differently. What does this mean for potential talent and the talent pool in this country? Partly for you as Mahindra Satyam or the combined entity that will emerge, but also for the industry at large.
I guess my philosophy, and I'll give you an example. I spent a bit of a time in Brazil. My managing director of Brazil, to every programmer, every employee is all Brazilian, 100% Brazilian. The company that we have acquired is also 100% Brazilian. Clearly, Brazil is going through this growth curve. They have skill shortage. They have capacity constraints. They will look at India as a partner which will help them deliver some of their ambitious goals. Remember, they are 2014 FIFA World Cup, and they are again 2016 an Olympic country. So my belief is that this Indo-Brazil collaboration is good for Brazil and it's good for India. As a company, going forward, I am looking at re-emphasizing that we are a global company. When I look at my 1,000 people in China, I mean 98.9% are all local Chinese people. Similarly, I have a facility now in Fargo in America. 98% are local American people. So I strongly believe that we will be a global company with global talent, though it just happens to be true that my predominant force will come in from India Incorporated.
So does this mean that there is the number of opportunities for Indian software programmers or young Indian software programmers would get limited? Because I mean, this is a strategy that other companies are following as well, or have followed and perhaps strengthened it in the last 5 years or so.
I mean, you know, it's interesting. Yesterday at Nasscom, somebody asked me that will automation shrink the jobs? And I said yes and no.
I think there's a Hackett study which says that number of outsourcing jobs.
Yeah,
are likely
but
to shrink.
I don't agree with that study anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the reason. I reminded people when the switchboard operators for a minute lost their jobs, right? Because they used to connect calls.
Yeah.
But a new industry called call center was born.
Yeah.
Right? And because the consumerization of the business. And so all these call center operators were eventually, if you look back, they were switchboard operators. Now look at the industry growth rate in telecom. I mean, as soon as the digital switching happened, digital routers happened, that industry grew exponentially. So did the job shrink in telecom, or did the job shrink for call centers? If both did not happen, why would you consider the pie is increasing? I would look at India Incorporated feeling very proud that they would be the leaders in this industry. I would probably feel very, very happy for my children and the youngsters that they are getting an opportunity to define the market instead of just being order takers.
Right. So I'm getting a sense from you that 2013 has begun well for you. But what are your customers telling you?
I would only like to say is that
the US is, for instance, about half, and then you've got Europe at about 25%, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, I can only tell you one of the customers yesterday told me that we are not positioning ourselves well. And I asked him why. He said, your people still talk about Satyam as, you know, a phenomena, but why don't your people come and project themselves as white knights? I mean, this is an American customer, and you know how Americans tend to be a little more emphatic in what they have to say. So the message that I got from an American client was, A, tell your guys to have a little bit of a swagger, and B is to project themselves as white knight. Now, why am I repeating this story? Is just to tell you is that Americans are feeling more confident, and that's why they're saying, guys, let's project to the world that we are more confident.
So are you also saying implicitly that the overhang is still strong in India?
I would like to believe so. I mean, we still have this, and it's probably can be explained because when you open a newspaper, you talk about a ED case or an income tax case. The fact is that an American company assumes that there will be litigation. You know, to them it is a way of life. Whereas in India, litigation is still a big deal. It's the same way 20 years ago when I bought a flat, my mother wouldn't allow me to borrow anything. You know, for her it was like, you know, how can you be in debt? I mean, and my youngsters are not going to listen to that advice anyway.
Right. So are you concerned at all that there might still be some skeletons in the Satyam cupboard which may emerge?
I think, Govind, there are no skeletons.
Which you don't know. That's the
no, we are. The number of times the purge has happened, the number of people which have gone and had, people say 4-eye principle in cleaning up. I can only tell you that there are hundreds of eyes which have gone through the full scrutiny. So in my opinion, there are no skeletons, and then there are absolutely no reason for us to be concerned. If there is any concern, it is a bit of a, you know, government
management bandwidth thing.
No, the government, that also we solved it. We actually created, my CFO Vasant has clearly got a department which focuses only on that part. Honestly, I don't spend any time on the legal side because, I mean, we internally have people who are more competent than I am.
Right. So you're saying that the past is under check or is being managed by competent people, and you're really focused on the $5 billion target.
I'm only saying is the legal part of the business is managed by more competent and important people, and yes, there is the rest of the organization, and me and my management team clearly know our roles and responsibilities.
Mr. Gurnani, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you, Govind. Thank you so much.